Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and the Saints won. But that isn't the biggest news today. Don't look now, but the New Orleans Saints, with this victory over the Chicago Bears and with the Atlanta Falcons losing to the Vikings, I believe, and with Tampa Bay losing in spectacular fashion to the Houston Texans, the New Orleans Saints are in sole possession of first place in the NFC South, sitting at 5-4 right now. Boy, this was a big day, and that's why I said leading up to this game, this is a big game, because the New Orleans Saints needed to win this game in order to keep pace in this division, which has proven to be hot garbage. Everybody lost in this division except us. And I can say this game had me on the edge of my seat the entire game. And it wasn't in a good way. Normally, you want these little matchups where it's back and forth, tight throughout. Yeah, I love games like that. But not when we play a team with an undrafted rookie quarterback coming out in the first half of a game and looking like Johnny Unitas all of a sudden. I mean, it was frustrating watching that first half of football from the New Orleans Saints. But I must say, they turned it around, they made their adjustments, and we come out victorious today over the Chicago Bears by a score of 24-17. The Saints, like I said, are 5-4 in first place by themselves in the NFC South. The Chicago Bears have dropped to 2-7. I'm happy with this win, but we have a lot to address on this team that it needs to be cleaned up. It's a lot of things on this team that need to be addressed, and I don't know how to address them, to be honest with you. But I will say there were problems early on this season that I was baffled with, scratching my head about, that I felt that things that couldn't get cleaned up, and they've been cleaned up. Our red zone issues been cleaned up the last couple of weeks. We've been scoring in the red zone. Our ability to run the ball, we've been running the ball pretty efficiently. Not so much today, but we were going against a stout run defense in the Chicago Bears. So I really wasn't expecting us to run the ball down their throats. But, just comparing it to the beginning of the season, it's gotten a little better. That offensive line, now that was my biggest thing going into this season. The first couple of weeks of the season, it looked like this offensive line was the worst offensive line in football history. It was that bad. And for better or worse, this offensive line, they've gotten it together. They moved the right pieces around. Moving Andrus Peat to left tackle was genius. That looks like a genius move there. Everything looks good on that offensive line. They've been holding up. Derek Carr has had time in the pocket. Looks good. The things that I have a problem with is Derek Carr. Derek Carr, the check down king of the NFL. I'm watching him throughout this game, and his double clutching, that's why his shoulder is hurting. It is not the hit that he took in week 2 or whenever that was. That's not what hurts his shoulder. It's the double clutching. It's the second guessing. That's what it is. I'm watching him this whole game, and he isn't double clutching, pump faking to throw off a safety. No, he's throwing himself off. He's scared to throw it. And he's checking it down. Now, with that being said, I'm happy to the extent that he's not turning the ball over. That's a plus. He's not making the big mistake. That's cool. But sometimes you got to let it rip. Sometimes you have to just trust your receivers down the field. And today he didn't. And against this defense, they're excellent against the run, but they are horrible against the pass. And we did not take advantage of that today. But overall, Saints did put up a quasi dominant performance going down the stretch of this game, especially from the defense aspect of it. My God, I thought the defense was going to be tarred and feathered after this game. I really did. Chicago's quarterback Tyson Bagent, it looked like he was about to just set the world on fire. I thought he was going to break the rookie record that that CJ Stroud did today against Tampa. I think CJ Stroud threw for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns today. He broke a rookie record. That dude's the truth. But I thought Tyson Bagent was going to do it from the way he looked in that first half. I mean, he could do no wrong. He could do no wrong. Then he was running the ball on top of that. Oh, man, we had no answer for him. But they went into halftime, I guess, took their little swig of Gatorade, got it, calmed down, and got it together. And thank God, because it was looking brutal. And it was night and day for poor little Tyson Bagent. That dude, it was all good in the first half. Worst day of his life in the second half. The New Orleans Saints defense delivered 5 takeaways to help the Saints outlast the Chicago Bears today by the score of 24-17. The win, the team's second consecutive, improves the Saints to 5-4 and into first place in the NFC South as the Falcons fall to the Minnesota Vikings and they drop to 4-5. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling to the Houston Texans, dropping them to 3-5. Cornerback Paulson Adebo had 3 of those takeaways today. 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery, while safety Marcus May had the 4th takeaway with a diving interception late in the game. Linebacker Demario Davis had a late script sack that was recovered by fellow linebacker Pete Warner to ice the game. Defensive end Cam Jordan added a sack as well. Taysom Hill, he had a huge game today, scoring on a 2-yard touchdown reception from Derek Carr, throwing a 3-yard touchdown pass to tight end Juwan Johnson, and carrying the ball 10 times for 50 yards. The Saints are 17-1 when Taysom Hill has at least 7 carries in the game. I think that's a pretty easy formula to to continue. Get Taysom Hill the ball. His touchdown reception was the 10th of his career, making him the first player since the Pro Football Hall of Famer Frank Gilford, who had 10 touchdowns running, receiving, and passing. Derek Carr, he was 25 of 34 for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns. Our rookie kicker, Blake Grupe, today was his 25th birthday. And okay, what can I say? He made a 55-yard field goal today in the first half. It was beautiful. So happy birthday to Blake Grupe. But he had a 47-yard attempt that hit the left upright with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left to play, which would have iced the game at that point, putting us up by 2 scores, but he missed the field. And I'm almost to the point when I'm ready to say, man, I'm done with Grupe. I'm almost to that point, and I like the kid, bro. I really do, but it's hot and cold with this guy. I can't depend on him. I can't. It's getting to the point where we need to bring in some kickers. If not this week, definitely next week when we have the bye. The Bears, who are now 2-7, and their rookie quarterback Tyson Bagent gave the Saints a rugged game as they outgained the Saints. Bagan was 18 for 30 for 220 yards with 2 touchdown passes, but he also had 3 interceptions and a lost fumble. His scrambling was a problem for the Saints as he scrambled 8 times for 70 yards today. But the 5 turnovers and 8 penalties for 71 yards were too much to overcome. The Saints will look to push their winning streak to 3 games next week as we travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, who are also 5-4 after defeating the Atlanta Falcons this week. Let's go over the statistics of this game. Once again, the New Orleans Saints 24, the Chicago Bears 17. Starting with the passing, our leading passer today was, of course, Derek Carr. He was 25 of 34, 211 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was not sacked today, which, there was no sacks given up by the New Orleans Saints, which is why I am so happy about this offensive line. This offensive line has just great job, man. Great job adjusting. I really thought this was going to be a horrible offensive line this year. Great job, man, by Doug Marrone, Pete Carmichael. They stuck with it, found the pieces. We had to stomach it, but we found it. So Derek Carr had a quarterback rating of 108.8 today. Taysom Hill, he was 1 for 1 with 3 yards and a touchdown. For the Chicago Bears, Tyson Bagent, he was 18 of 30 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was sacked twice today, and he had a quarterback rating of 65.3. Rushing for the New Orleans Saints, today's leading rusher was, of course, Taysom Hill, 11 carries for 52 yards. Alvin Kamara had 9 carries for 26 yards. Jamal Williams had 3 carries for 6 yards. Derek Carr, 3 carries for 3 yards. And Kendrick Miller had 1 carry for 0 yards today. For the Chicago Bears, their leading rusher was Dante Foreman. He had 20 carries for 83 yards. Their quarterback, Tyson Bagent, had 8 carries for 70 yards. Rashawn Johnson, 2 carries for 6 yards, and Evans had 1 carry for 2 yards. Receiving, the New Orleans Saints leading receiver today was Chris Olave, 6 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 4 catches for 44 yards. Kendrick Miller, 1 catch for 31 yards, Juwan Johnson, 5 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. Foster Moreau, 1 catch for 23 yards. Rashid Shaheed, 3 catches for 22 yards. Taysom Hill, 4 catches for 13 yards and a touchdown. Jamal Williams, 2 catches for 6 yards today. Michael Thomas, no catches today. No catches. He had 1 target. I don't know if he's sick or not. I did read something somewhere where that illness that was going around the facility the past couple of weeks, it hit him kind of hard and he lost weight. And he looks like maybe he's not 100% because they didn't even look his weight except for that one time. But I don't know, man. I don't know why he didn't get any targets today. For the New Orleans, not New Orleans, we just went over them. For the Chicago Bears receiving, Darnell Mooney had 5 catches for 82 yards. Cole Kmet, he had 6 catches for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought he was about to start demolishing the Saints with those 2 quick touchdowns he scored. DJ Moore had 3 catches for 44 yards. Evans had 2 catches for 19 yards. Robert Tonyan had 1 catch for 11 yards. Rashawn Johnson, 1 catch for 9 yards. Leading tackler for the New Orleans Saints today was Demario Davis. He had 8 solo tackles and 10 total tackles today and a sack. Paulson Adebo had 7 tackles today plus 3 pass defenses and 2 interceptions. For the Chicago Bears, their leading tackler today was TJ Edwards with 15 tackles, and Jack Sanborn had 10 tackles. as I said earlier, Paulson Adebo had 2 interceptions today. Marcus May had 1. For the Chicago Bears, we didn't turn the ball over, so there's no point going into their category. So let's go with team stats today. Team stats beginning with first downs. On first downs, the New Orleans Saints had 18 first downs, 11 by passing, 6 by rushing, 1 by penalty. For the Chicago Bears, they had a grand total of 20 first downs today, 13 by passing, 7 by rushing, 0 by penalty. How you love that? On third down efficiency, Saints were 50% today, 7 for 14. The Chicago Bears were also 50% today with 6 for 12. On fourth down, Saints were 0 for 1 on fourth down, and I did not like that play. I wasn't mad at the fact they went for it. I didn't like how it came together. They rushed it. I'm like, are they trying to get them off sides or something? And then you're trying to quarterback sneak with Derek Carr, and Taysom Hill is right there. It was a bonehead thing. But anyway, Saints did not convert on fourth down. The Chicago Bears, they were 100%. They went for it once and got it once. Total plays today, the Chicago Bears had 64 total plays to the Saints 62. Total yardage, the Bears had 368 total yards to the Saints 301. Total drives, Saints had 12 drives to the Bears 11. Yards per play, the Bears had 5.8 yards per play. Saints had 4.9, which isn't bad, but the Bears were slightly better. Passing yardage was almost even. Saints had 214 passing yards to the Bears 212. Rushing, Bears had 156 yards rushing today to the Saints 87. Red zone. In the red zone, Saints were 3 for 5. Not bad. You want 100%, but I'll take 3 for 5 because, like I said earlier this season, we weren't getting that. The Chicago Bears were 2 for 4. Penalties. This is the one that blows my mind. I'm so proud of this team. The Bears had 8 penalties for 71 yards today. Saints had 1. 1 penalty for 5 yards. I gotta give it. I gotta give it to. Man, this is one of the most penalized teams in the league, and they turned it around today. It was a clean game for the most part. Turnovers. Saints did not turn the ball over at all today. Unfortunately, the Bears can't say the same. 5 turnovers today. 2 fumbles and 3 interceptions. Time of possession, Saints had the ball 29 minutes and 20 seconds to the Bears 30 minutes and 40 seconds. This was a hard-fought game, and it shouldn't have been, really, because the Saints, I don't think they had bad field position this entire game. They started I don't think, especially in the second half. In the second half, I don't think they had a possession that started on the other side of the 50. Every possession started in the opponent's territory. That is crazy to me. That is crazy to me. The score does not reflect what this game should have been, and that's my thing. I know I should take this win and run with it, but it's hard, dog. It's hard because we're gonna come up against a team that's better than the Bears, that's going to capitalize on our mistakes, because we made mistakes. Yes, we didn't turn the ball over. We didn't commit any penalties, but there are some drives. We left points out there. Aside from the missed field goal, we left points out there. And it's discouraging. It's discouraging, but we're getting there. We're getting closer. We are getting closer. I see this team getting better as the weeks go on. Let's go through our grades this week. As you all know, after every Saints game, I like to grade the performance of every unit on the team. offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. We average them all out and we come up with an overall grade for the New Orleans Saints as a whole. Starting with our offense today, our offense gets a B minus. The offense, like I said, they didn't have bad field position throughout this game, but I felt they should have punched it in. They should have capitalized more on these turnovers, and really, this game should have been decided in the third quarter. You know, first half aside, you know, I get it. You was trying to fill this team out. You know, it was kind of back and forth. It was on the verge of a shootout. I think it was 17-17 at halftime. So that lets you know what type of game this was going to be. But like I said, at half, they came out and got a little better. But I thought that they should have took advantage of the Bears' weaknesses a little more. But we did get the victory, and they didn't. Derek Carr didn't turn the ball over. We didn't turn the ball over. I think Taysom Hill saved us. If it wasn't for Taysom Hill, I think we would have a different outcome today. But I'm happy with the way the offense came together. It gets a B minus. Defensively, they get a B plus. Normally in a performance like this, you would look towards A category, but that first half was just embarrassing. It was a shame to watch them try to run down this rookie quarterback, man. It was looking like, my God, I thought I would have hate to see if Justin Fields was playing. If what's his name? Bajan can run over our defense like that. My God, Justin Fields would have had a field day. And so yeah, man, but that second half, it was no quarter. They gave no quarter to this Bears offense. 5 turnovers. My goodness. That is unheard of. I think the Saints only had 7 turnovers all of last year, and we had 5 today. So that lets you know how much they turned up the heat in that second half. They get a B plus today. Special teams gets a C plus. Poor Blake Groupie, little group. My man is hurting right now. I don't know, man. I think he's in his own head. Obviously, this dude got a leg, because that 50-something yarder he kicked, what was it, 57 yards or something like that? He nailed it. You actually could have backed him up another 5 yards. He nailed that kick. But everything else, let me put it like this. 50 plus, I have no problems with Blake Groupie. I know he's going to make those. But inside of that, 40, 30s and all that, that's when my butthole clenches up. Because I don't know what this dude is going to do. And as soon as he lined up for that 40-something yarder, I had just said it out loud, and I probably jinxed the fella, and if I did, my bad. I'm sorry. I was like, man, this is too much pressure on that dude. And sure enough, he went and he bounced off the upright. But our rookie punter, he actually did a good job today. And I've been out on since the beginning, but today he had a good game. He flipped field position perfectly for us today. I thought he kicked the ball fairly well. Good job by the punter. Yeah, special teams gets a C plus. Coaching today gets a B plus. Coaching, my problem with them, reason why it's a B and not an A, they take too long to adjust to me. It's like they have to wait till halftime to make adjustments. Sometimes you got to make those adjustments in the first quarter, maybe in the second quarter. But, you can't allow a team to run shop over you. I mean, my God, man, these people put up 14 points on you in the first half. It was looking bleak. Every time they went down the field, they were looking clean. I mean, figure it out. Go into the zone. Me and my cousin was on the phone during the game, and he was like, man, they need to run a zone or whatever. And finally they started running a zone, and I called him back. I was like, bro, you need to be the coach. You need to be the coach, because it's taking them forever to figure it out. You know, you don't have to wait to halftime to make an adjustment. Make the adjustment, you know. But they did. I guess better late than never. And so, but the reason I'm putting it at a B plus, I got to tip my hat to Pete Carmichael. I have to do it. Pete Carmichael called a excellent game. Now, the reason why the offense sputtered a little late, why they didn't punch the ball in off of the turnovers and capitalize on those opportunities, it wasn't because of Pete Carmichael. He called a good game. He really did, man. And he used Taysom Hill perfectly. I dare I say, he used Taysom Hill better than Sean Payton used Taysom Hill. He knows what to do with Taysom Hill. I give him that. And good job by this coaching staff. They get a B plus. So overall, the New Orleans Saints as a team gets a grade of a B plus. I think it could have been better, should have been better, but you did it. You know, every game is not going to be given to you. And, you know, Chicago Bears have pride too. You know, I know what their record says, but they have pride too. And they really fought in this game. They were trying to win this game. They weren't tanking. They were trying to win this game. So I got to give respect to the Chicago Bears. And it's always a tough out with those guys when we play them. So good victory from the New Orleans Saints. Now it's time for our segment where we give out the game balls and who has to sit in the corner. Today, just like last week, I don't have anybody to sit in the corner. Everybody is good. Nobody's on punishment. Nobody's grounded today. But I do have 2 game balls to give out. Yes, 2 today. One on the offense and one on the defense. And it's pretty obvious. On the offensive side of the ball, Taysom Hill gets the game ball. Taysom Hill, for not only catching his 10th receiving touchdown, putting him in Hall of Fame category. When you are mentioned in the same statement as a Hall of Famer, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And for him to take the game and, I mean, really put this team on his shoulders today, running, throwing, and catching. Think about it. He caught a touchdown. He threw a touchdown. And he had, 50 yards rushing today? I mean, come on, man. I got to give him the game ball. But I also have to give the game ball to Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo was, I don't know what they were thinking. They kept going at that. Kept going. Just like last week. They keep going at Paulson Adebo. I don't know why. I guess they so scared of Lattimore. You know, he has his receiver on lock or whatever. I don't know. But they constantly test Adebo. And he constantly passes that test every week. I'm happy for him because I know a lot of Saints fans or so-called Saints fans gave him the blues last year, should I say, and going into this year. And they were like, oh, we want Alontae Taylor. Alontae Taylor should be the number 2. I like Alontae Taylor. I would have been happy with Alontae Taylor too because I think they're both capable of being cornerback 2 on this team. But unfortunately, there's only one spot, and you got to give it to Adebo, and he's showing why he is the second cornerback on his team. And so, yes, the 2 game balls go to Taysom Hill and Paulson Adebo today with nobody sitting in the corner. Good job from the New Orleans Saints. Once again, the New Orleans Saints come out victorious this week, defeating the Chicago Bears by the score of 24-17, putting us at 5-4. We are above 500 yet again. And more importantly, we are sitting alone at the top of the division. It's amazing, ain't it? That's how trash this division is. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, we were 3rd in the division. We were 3rd. The only reason we weren't dead last is because the Carolina Panthers are just that bad. And so, and I'm looking over at the score right now. It looks like Carolina, not looking too good now. So there's that. But yeah, man. Shout outs to the Houston Texans today, and shout out to the Minnesota Vikings today for coming out victorious. I'm gonna give you your love today because next week we are out for blood. We need to we need to beat those same Vikings in Minnesota. And so what do you think about the game? Are you happy? Are you super excited? You're back on the bandwagon. Those of you who hopped off, you ran the wagon back down and hopped back on. I would love to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look me up on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Search for the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap of the New Orleans Saints Week 9 victory over the Chicago Bears by the score of 24-17. Can't wait to speak to you next week when we preview the Saints versus the Vikings. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one, people. It's gonna be a hard game. Don't get it twisted. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, I'm gonna be screaming all week, baby. Who that?